Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Crystal Coast family. Oh my goodness. It is so good to be here with you today. Oh, it's a special day. This is our tribe. We are here to celebrate with our tribe all together, those online, those on Facebook, and of course, right here in the sanctuary. So let us sing this one. This is my tribe. This is my tribe. This is my place. And I behold the Christ in every face. I am ready now. Let's do it. This is my tribe. This is my place. And I behold the Christ in every face. I am ready now. My heart is ready now. Let's sing that again. This is my tribe. This is my place. And I behold the Christ in every face. I am ready now. My heart is ready now. We're going to do it one more time. This is my tribe, this is my place, and I behold the Christ in every face. I am ready now, my heart is ready now, ready to be open, inspired, ready to be open, inspired and see, ready to pray, unlimited and free, ready to love my community. This is my tribe here, the unity. Yes, ready to be open, inspired and see, ready to pray, unlimited and free, ready to love my community. This is my tribe here, the unity. Okay, we're going to put our hands together and sing see the unity. Here we go. See unity. See unity. See unity. This is my tribe. This is my tribe here. Unity. We're gonna do that again. Come on, see unity. Here we go. See unity. See unity. Again. See unity. This is my tribe here. See unity. Ready to be open, inspired, and see. Ready to be open, inspired, and ready to pray. Ready to unlimited and free. Ready to love my community. This is my tribe here. This is my tribe here. CC Unity. We're gonna do CC Unity again. Here we go. C Unity. C Unity. C Unity. This is my tribe here. CC Unity. Amen, amen.
Good morning, friends. It's such a joy to have Deidrey Francois with us in person today. If you are visiting us, you don't know that Deidrey actually lives in Toronto, Canada, and shows up on the big screen TV. And we're doing some new stuff today. It's been the theme this past weekend has been what will today's challenge be? Because when they say, oh, you're going to be ordained, then the universe comes back and says, really? Let's test that in front of all these great spiritual minds. And so I've had a couple of challenges. We're going to use that little TV over there, but can we make it not so that you see me twice? Put a pretty picture up there, maybe. That's all. That'll happen in a moment. If you don't know me, I'm Reverend Todd Humphrey. I am the spiritual leader here at Crystal Coast Unity. You're like, if you're already Reverend, why are you getting ordained? Well, it's because I'm just a licensed Unity minister, and you can only be licensed for so long, and then they'll take that away from you. And so I'm being ordained today. So I would have to do something really egregious for them to take that away after this. Still have an hour. So. So those of you that are visiting are used to our services usually being about an hour, and we've got a lot of ordained ministers and licensed Unity teachers today that are going to be speaking. It's going to be longer than an hour. And that is exactly as it should be, because everything is being divinely ordered in this moment. So I know that it was divinely ordered when I decided not to print the programs last night. And then someone called this morning because they were sick and they could not be here. And so I had time to change the program. And then the printer jammed. And then someone else called and said, I don't know that I'm going to make it because I'm detoxing today and don't think I can make it in. And so we hold everyone in this community in the truth of an expression of divine life, of health, of wholeness, knowing the truth of who they are. And if they're not here right now in this moment, we hope they're online watching. And we know that at the level of spirit, we are all right here together, and that we are all right now together. We have, like I said, a number of guests today. We have, when I said the printer stopped working, I didn't get to print out all the bios that everyone sent to me. So, sorry about that. And I thought, well, I can just pull it up on my phone and read it. But I just got a new phone, and my email's not linked to my phone yet because the universe said, really? Really? And I know that everything is being divinely ordered, because words really can't fully embody all of the wonderful people that are here today and describe them. But Reverend Russell Highland is here with us. He is the founding spiritual leader of Crystal Coast Unity. When this idea, he's standing right back there. Reverend Russell Highland showed up when we held the idea in consciousness of a unity community in eastern North Carolina. And there were people that told Lissa Pearson that cannot be done. Has anybody ever told Lissa no?
Yeah, they've told me.
Right. He knows more than anyone. He's married to her. So Russell is now the senior minister of Unity of Fairfax, Virginia. He has served a number of communities, including Fairfax of Wilmington and at First Unity Spiritual Campus in St. Petersburg, Florida. We also have with us today Reverend Beth Curtis. Reverend Beth is very familiar to the people here at Crystal Coast Unity because she is a longtime member and a minister emeritus of Crystal Coast Unity. We also have Charlie Curtis. That is Reverend Beth's husband. Charlie is a licensed Unity teacher. And Charlie, he along with Reverend Catherine have been incredible supports of allowing me to have days off occasionally. And so he still comes up and will do a talk every once in a while so that I can not do a talk. Can you imagine me not talking? We also have Herb Pearson. Herb is a licensed Unity teacher, and he served this community and did an incredible job and is beloved in this community. And Herb, we are so very happy that you came back to spend today with us. And finally, we have Reverend Catherine Klein. And it was about exactly almost 20 years ago that I wandered into a Unity church. And Catherine gave the message that day at Unity in Greensboro. Catherine's beloved sister Nancy was, because ministry is a family thing, y'all, if you don't know that. Know that. Her sister Nancy was working the overhead projector. Y'all remember the overhead projectors? Flipped it on, and we recited the mission statement. Unity in Greensboro is an inclusive spiritual community that, there it went. Look, I get forgetful now. But I knew at that moment that I was home. I knew that I was home. That's a familiar story with so many people, that they walk into a Unity church and they go, wow, this is my tribe. This is my tribe. And so thank you to all of these former spiritual leaders for being here, that have held the consciousness of unity, of the truth of oneness. Because at the level of spirit, we are all one. And I'm also very delighted to say that we have back visiting with us for the second time, Reverend Shawn Moninger. Reverend Shawn was my taskmaster as I was a field ministry candidate. More than that, he was an incredible mentor and has become an invaluable friend to me. And so I'm here today because there are so many amazing people, and I could stand up here and talk all day, but there are other people that have things to say today and things to sing and stuff to happen. So I want you to know that I told you a couple of people weren't here because they weren't feeling well. So we hold Jelani. I promised you guys that Jelani, who served this community for many years as a music minister, wasn't feeling well. So he did not make the trip today. And Lissa's not feeling great. And Lissa was going to carry in the Christ light for us because Lissa held the consciousness to help make this happen. So at Lissa's wishes, Reverend Russell is now going to bring us the Christ light. And we know that this light is not anything else but the representation of the Christ that is within us and all around us. And as Russell brings that up, I want to invite my friend Mary Margaret to come up. Mary Margaret's a dear friend and a mentor for me. And while I walked into that Unity church and the light of truth was illuminated for me, Mary Margaret stood by a number of times when I thought that light was going to go out. And she fanned the flames of truth. Mary Margaret, will you come and open our service with prayer?
You might have noticed I'm really, really little. Let us join together in affirmative prayer. We give thanks for all the things that went right this morning, whether we knew it or not, to bring us here. We rejoice in the presence of the Christ consciousness in ourselves, and we rejoice in the recognition of the Christ consciousness in all the people around us. We are in a holy place. We are in a holy place. We rest in the knowledge that we are one. We are all individual expressions of the one. In the awareness of our divine essence, we give ourselves now to the perfect unfolding of this hour together. And together we say thank you. And as we have spoken, so it is.
And so now we are going to recite Unity's foundational principles together. And each one of our former spiritual leaders here at Crystal Coast Unity is going to lead one and then give you a couple of minutes of a reflection about that principle. We'll start with Reverend Russell.
Thank you all. It's truly an honor to be here today. I invite you to join me in affirming the truth of the first principle. Together, God, absolute good and unconditional love, is the one constant presence and power in our lives and in the world. The gift of this principle is faith. How many of you have read a newspaper or seen a news report in the last, say, 24 hours? And for many people in the world, it is very tempting to believe that this is not true because they allow their consciousness and their perspective to rest on the point of view of facts. Not capital T truth, but lowercase f facts. This is what we call the first rule of metaphysics, the understanding of the difference between the absolute and the relative. In Unity, we encourage one another to hold the high watch and focus on what do we know is true while giving due respect to the facts, because we do live in a physical and tangible world, or as Madonna said, we are living in a material world. But the truth is, we are far more than material girls and boys and people. We are individualized expressions of what we call the truth that is represented by these words. So the gift of our first principle is faith, is to know always that facts will always change. They will come and go. Newspapers get printed every day and they say something different, a little bit different than yesterday, and they kind of tweak it, and then they drop a story, and then there's a new one. Facts are always coming and going. They are important because we have to respond to facts from a point of view of truth. And our point of view of truth is that the nature of God is altogether good, and each and every one of us is an individualized expression of that goodness. We need to know the truth about ourselves, have faith in the truth about ourselves. Yes, even when we stumble and fall, because in our humanity we will stumble and fall, but we don't allow a setback to become an endpoint because we know the truth. And knowing the truth allows us to get back up, and not only to get up ourselves, but to lift up all others into the truth of their being, and not allow ourselves to rest on identification of any particular fact as all that that person is, all the world is, or all that I am. I'm an individualized expression of the creative magnificence of the universe. Would you affirm that with me, please? I am an individualized expression of the creative magnificence of the universe. When we put our truth and our faith in that statement, seeming miracles happen. When we put our faith in that truth, we help others become their best selves. And when we put our faith in that truth, we truly co-create a world that works for everyone. We'll get new facts. The truth remains the same. Namaste.
Namaste.
Principle 2. All human beings are made in the image of God, and so our core essence is also goodness and love. The gift of this principle is self-esteem. The book of Genesis tells us in chapter 1, verse 27, so God created humankind in his image, and I'm sure they also meant her image. In the image of God, he created them. I have known that passage was in Genesis for a very long time. I have even quoted it. But also for a very long time, I have had a hard time believing it. How about you? You see, I grew up in a denomination that described an omnipotent God who might smite me if I didn't toe the line. That God and Big Brother were watching me. It's not easy to let go of one perception of God and replace it with another. I was taught, and I believe, that I am a Christian. My perception of what that means to be a Christian is evolving as well. I believe that Jesus and God were one, and that I might be smitten if I did not worship Jesus in words, the ways that my first church prescribed. Of course, I was overlooking some of the things that Jesus actually said. Jesus never demanded that he be worshiped. In John 16:15, he said, "All that the Father has is mine. For this I said, that he would take what is mine and declare it to you." Take that literally, and my old church expected me to do, and it tells me that God and Jesus were one, and that God and I are one. So all that the Father has is mine. Evidently, Jesus hoped I would do something with my newfound omnipotence. Stay tuned, it's coming. Let's see. Evidently, Jesus hoped I would do something with my newfound omnipotence. Why don't I always feel like I can be and do all those things that are mine? And I need to remind myself that God is part of who I am. The power of God is mine to claim at any time. I commit to live from the awareness of my divine nature. I am the right person in the right place to create a right world for myself and everyone else. All the resources of the infinite are already mine. The gift of this principle is self-esteem.
Let us sing this song. Holy essence of God. I am made in the image and likeness of God. I am made in the image and likeness of God. I open my eyes and see what's inside. I open my eyes, see what's inside. I know in my heart I am holy, holy, beautiful, holy essence of God, beautiful, the holy essence of God. Yes, you are beautiful, the holy essence of God. We're going to tell someone, you are made in the image and likeness of God. Open your eyes and see what's inside. Open your eyes, see what's inside, and know in your heart you are holy, 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 beautiful, holy essence of God, beautiful, the holy essence of God. Yes, you are beautiful. Yes, you are beautiful, the holy essence of God. And on your heart, we are made in the image and likeness. Here we go. We are made in the image and likeness of God. We open our eyes and see what's inside. We open our eyes and see what's inside. We know in our hearts we are holy. We are beautiful, the holy essence of God. Let's breathe that in.
Principle 3. We create our life experiences through our way of thinking and feeling. Everything we manifest begins with a thought. The gift of this principle is personal power. Benjamin Disraeli once said, "Nurture your mind with great thoughts, for you will never go higher than you think." Excuse me if I'm skeptical. I believe that Disraeli failed to take into account the grace of God. And I feel as though I know something about the grace of God. You see, I never aspired to be a minister or even a spiritual leader. Yet here is the about to be ordained Reverend Todd lumping me together with 4 former spiritual leaders. So by the grace of God, I've been promoted. Not only by Reverend Todd, but on occasion by Deidrey Francois, all the way from Canada. Who would have thought? Not me. I never thought about it, and when other people brought it up, I denied it. Now, don't get the idea that I'm questioning the principle. I had thoughts. They just didn't involve my being a minister. When I got over the shock of Beth wanting to be a unity minister, I began to think. And I was surprised to discover that I wanted that to happen. Oh boy, did I think. Before I realized what I was thinking, I'd made a commitment to do whatever I could to fulfill Beth's dream. I didn't consider becoming a minister myself. I figured we didn't need 2 ministers. I would do whatever I could to assist Beth's ministry. I really wanted to be a part of it. Now, Jack Canfield, that chicken soup guy, wrote, "You only have control over 3 things in your life: the thoughts you think, the images you visualize, and the actions you take." May I point out that that's the faculty of power? We get to choose. And it's no coincidence to say that the gift of this principle is personal power. Now, we like to think of these things as new thought. But the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." So that idea is at least 2,000 years old. I really think that Marcus Aurelius was one of the wise emperors. And I also think that I achieved what I set out to do. And yes, it all began with a thought. And along the way, I became a believer. And this I believe. If you realized how powerful your thoughts are, you would never think a negative thought. Now, the originator of that idea was anonymous. He won't mind if I claim it for myself.
Good morning. Congratulations, Reverend Todd. This is a wonderful day for Crystal Coast Unity, and you all have earned it. Let us go on to our fourth principle. Together, affirmative prayer and meditation heighten our connection with God mind and bring forth wisdom, healing, and abundance. The gift of this principle is guidance. Well, it guided me. Unity's fourth principle is essentially commune with God and find your indwelling Christ. Today's daily word scriptural passage says it, coincidentally, right on. The one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. We all seek this guidance. All spiritual teachers around the globe have taught this for eons. Before the beginning, God created it. Before there was language, the ancients, the indigenous peoples of the world, they sang it and danced it. Then the Hindus wrote it. The Tao Te Ching, it nailed it. Abraham recognized it. Moses followed it. Jesus embodied it. The Buddha, he said, this is the path. Get on it. And Muhammad, he commanded it. And in modern times, Gandhi proved it. Today, unity is it. Prayer and meditation are the very heart and soul of unity. And with our gift of guidance, we get the added gift of finding our Christhood. Charles Fillmore, on his deathbed, he told his son, you might recognize this as an important moment. He said, son, the most important words are Christ in you, our hope of glory. Precisely what our fourth principle teaches us, affirms for us, and guides us through. And it is so simple, friends. So simple. It is easy to simply say, yes, God. Thank you, God. Let's do that 3 times together. Yes, God. Thank you, God. Yes, God. Thank you, God. And yes, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. Pray unceasingly. Pray expectantly. Every thought, a prayer. Every word, a prayer. And so it is. Thank you, God. Amen.
Amen. Amen. We are here to embody the Christ. I'm here to wake up. I'm here to shake it up. May I live in authenticity. Every day I'm waking up. Every day I shake it up for the highest and best of who I'm called to be. I'm rising higher. I'm loving deeper, expanding wider. I am here for God. The Spirit's higher, connecting deeper, opening wider. I am here for God. We're going to sing God in me, as me, through me. Here we go. God in me, as me. God as me, through me. God through me. I am here for God again. God in me, as me. God as me, through me. God through me. I am here for God. I'm here to wake up. I'm here to shake it up. May I live in authenticity. Every day I'm waking up, every day I shake it up for the highest and best of who I'm called to be. I'm rising higher, loving deeper. I'm rising higher, I'm loving deep. Expanding wider. I am here for God. The Spirit's higher, connecting deeper, opening wider. I am here for God. We're gonna sing God in me, as me, and through me. God in me, as me. God as me, through me. God through me. I am here for God. God in me, as me. God as me, through me. God through me. I am here for God. God in me, as me. God as me, through me. God through me. I am here. One more time now. God in me, as me. God as me, through me. God through me. I am here for God. Amen.
Well, y'all have just heard what the foundation is for unity. Those are the principles that we chose to hold as our truth and our belief and our philosophy for living. So now let's take a look at this fifth one. You want to say this with me? Knowledge of these principles is not enough. Uh-oh. Well, spiritual is integrity. Oh. So I don't know about you, but I didn't find it hard to learn Unity's theology. Metaphysics, maybe a little bit. It was living it that really slowed me down and brought me up short. So I have decided this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where the boys separates the boys and the men and the girls from the women, because this is an everyday, every moment thing. And so I wondered what was the most important thing. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm messing up all the time. Besides, the world is driving me crazy. And I don't think screaming at the television set was, kind of commensurate with holding the right thoughts. So if you're anything like me, you're self-correcting quite a lot. So, all right, being that I'm not perfect and you may not be either, what is it that we can do? And here's my promise to myself, which again, is not always perfectly acted out. My promise to myself is to show up when called, to show up when inspired, and to be a healing presence when I do, to the best of my ability. That, what's so marvelous about that is that I'm not really in charge of it. If I'll simply say yes and show up where I'm led or called, I find that miraculous things often happen that I never could have imagined. I remember so well being called to the deathbed of a person that I only knew slightly, and there were like 20 members of the family sitting around being hysterical as this person lay in the bed. They didn't know me from Adam. So I thought to myself, I think I'm just going to sit in that chair over in the corner and hold the presence of peace for this moment. And after a little while, I got up and said goodbye to everybody and left. And I got phone call after phone call after phone call thanking me for my ministry. And I'm thinking, what did I do? So for me, the fifth principle is a lot about showing up and showing up as a healing presence and a blessing whenever we can. I have a quote here from one of my favorite people, Leo Biscaglia. I don't know if any of you know him too well, but he always says this: don't think about love, act on it spontaneously. Someone needs to get in line ahead of you, let them. Somebody seems upset, ask if you can help. Somebody cuts you off in traffic, let them. So I'm thinking it's an everyday deal. And I also am thinking that this is the principle. It's not maybe the one that brought me to unity, but it is the one that kept me here. And it's the one that, I'm not so sure I'm supposed to say things like this, but it's the one that sort of sets us apart from a lot of what is called Christian in the world today. All right. So that's the deal, folks. Integrity. And I'll tell you one other thing before I sit down. Having worked with a lot of people over the years who were in torment of some sort, and myself and my own issues, what I found was the greatest torment was when the insides of us do not match the outsides of us. When there's an inner conflict about who we know we are and how we're showing up. So that's the work, folks. Let's keep at it. Love you guys.
Wow, look at all the beautiful people. We're going to switch things up a little bit this morning, and I'd like to ask Joanne and Jerry, our ushers, to come forward. And now is the time in the service where we're going to invite everyone to consider all the prosperity in your life. And as you do so, I'd like to remind you that wherever you're being spiritually fed, you should support those people, places, and organizations. And if that place is here at Crystal Coast Unity, I invite you to hold that consciousness as you give your gift. So let's say together our offering prayer. I am grateful for the unlimited wealth spring of innocence and intelligence within me, and I joyfully give way to its flow. I pray for my life and co-create a spiritual community that blesses the world. Thank you, Joanne and Jerry, for taking up the offering. And while they're doing that, I'd just like to remind everybody in the sanctuary on Zoom or on Facebook, if you'd like to give your gift by credit card, you can do so by going to crystalcoastunity.org. And also on that website, if you go there, you can also donate your gift by just hitting the donate button on the bottom of the screen. And if you're like me that still writes checks, you can send a check to Crystal Coast Unity at Post Office Box 742 in Morehead City, 28557. And we'd just like to welcome and thank you all for your support of this community.
I
I am light. Say that with me. I am light. The light of Christ is the truth of who we are. That's what we are directed to, that truth in our principles. And Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, taught that just as Jesus directed his 12 disciples, that there are 12 powers within us, 12 faculties, that when we learn to direct those, then we truly can live as the light. That we can be an embodiment of the light, that we can truly be the absolute good and unconditional love that we are called to be in the world. And so today, there are 12 people that are with us who are going to help me light 12 different candles to represent these faculties, these powers that we each are invited to live from. Some of these people have only known me since last September, and some have known me for nearly 52 years. So first, I'm not going to get into long stories about what all of these people mean to me, because we would be here too long, and I would start crying, and it would be a horrible, horrible mess. My mascara would run. It would be terrible. I'm just kidding. I'm not wearing mascara today. So first, we're going to light the candle for faith, which is our blue candle. Pat Moore, will you come up and light your taper? This is symbolic because as Pat has awakened the Christ of her being, she has presented the light to me. And now my sister Stacy and my nephew Liam are going to come up. And they represent the faculty of strength. This next one is this is Reverend Watana Finnegan, who is in Florida, and so she's going to light a candle via Zoom. The next is our purple candle, and Nancy Yao is going to come up. I have long stories to tell about all of these people, so see me later, or see them, because they have long stories as well. This is Wanda Eller is going to come up and light the pink candle for love. This is my mother. Light blue represents imagination, and so Dee Rosen is going to come up. If you don't know Dee, most of you don't know Dee. Dee is the executive director of the Tiller School, and she represents imagination because I get to work with children all the time. Gold represents our understanding, and that is Joanna. And Reverend Shawn Moninger represents will, which is our silver candle. Who said this microphone so far away? Oh, that was me. Ben Wilson, will you come up and light the candle? This candle is going to be olive green. It represents order. Divine order. So this is the next candle is orange. Orange is my favorite color. I drive the Zeal-mobile outside, that bright orange car, because orange represents zeal. And this is also going to be done virtually. This I do have to tell you who this person is. The first class I took at Unity in Greensboro was a foundations class, and I took it with Nancy Durand. And this is Nancy Durand, and we have been fast friends ever since.
I miss you. Hold it right there. Right there? Where? Right here. Right there. Okay. I always was a klutz. Still am.
This next one is also done via Zoom. This is Reverend Dr. Scott Dillard, who is a dear friend of mine, and we are going to light the candle Russet, which is for Annunciation Release. I know Scott from my magical weekends on the mountain, Retreat and Learning Center, and more than anyone I have ever known, Scott has taught me how to keep showing up and to forgive and to release those things that can make us bitter. He is an amazing friend. So, Scott, thanks. The last candle is red. So the color of blood, life. Life. Everlasting life. I finally feel like I am alive and doing what I am meant to do. And so, Reverend Catherine Klein, will you come and light the red candle with me? So if you will, take a breath with me. And one more time. And one more time. Close your eyes if it's comfortable for just a moment. Relax into your breath. These disciples, these faculties, these powers exist within our consciousness that we might learn how to rightly direct them, so that we might embody the truth of who we are, that we might be able to come forth and say the truth, I am light. I am light. I am light. Though this is a material world, we turn towards the truth. We turn toward knowing that in our full humanity that we are truly divine in potential when we know who we are. When we are willing to be the light. Willing to be the presence of absolute good and unconditional love, unlimited in potential. Knowing that I am the light. Affirm that with me one time. I am the light. And so it is, and so we let it be.
Trusting the call within, trusting the love we know, we step with sweeter faith into the world we go, and every day we have, let there be time enough to bring a mighty, mighty gift of love. Move with that call within, move from the love we know, and step with greater faith into the world we flow, and in the time we have, we will be strong enough to bring a mighty, mighty gift of joy.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I've had the pleasure. Good morning. Hey, I'm Shawn Moninger. I got the pleasure of witnessing Deidrey this weekend in her full glory in the park with a bucket in front of her. That bucket filled up. It was very impressive, and she's fun. If you've never been to lunch with Deidrey, you should go. It's a lot of fun. I had, you guys, I just caught up with me. I'm peers with you guys. I'm not the kid that just walked in the door. We're peers. We've been ministering for a long time, and now we're welcoming a new guy into full credentialing today. Now we can send him the dirty jokes we weren't allowed to for the past 2 years. Yeah, I thought over that. Sorry, 5 ministers walked into a bar, and they laughed and laughed and laughed, and that's the whole joke. We're here today to witness a beautiful formality. That's really what it comes down to. We're here to witness an ordination. How often do you get to do that? And your minister, Reverend Todd Humphrey, has completed his commitment to the field program of Unity Worldwide Ministries. So we have great cause to be glad this morning. This morning, June 21st, 2023. First of all, we're here together, and that's cause enough. Wouldn't you say yay? Yay. Nice full sanctuary. We like it. We're here for a common reason, though. The realization of God, active and present in and as and through our lives. That's why we're here to prove God true, as it were. And I like it. Now I'll talk about me. For one of my many personal development graduations, those of you here who were licensed as licensed Unity teachers, you had a ton of graduations because there's session A, 3 parts, session B, 3 parts, and session C. A lot of graduation ceremonies out at Unity Village. At one of them, Reverend Laura Barrett Bennett, you know her, she gave the keynote that night. And she said something vitally important to me. She said it to everybody, but I was in the room at the time. But I recognized it as vitally important. She said, "You're here because you have chosen to see God differently." Yes, that's why I'm here in Unity. I have chosen to see God differently than I ever did before, differently than my mother did or my grandparents did or anybody I knew from my past. When I first came into Unity, and I was as I say, a very nearly middle-aged child, I was invited to the Eric Butterworth community up in New York City in Lincoln Center. And I walked in that day. 2 friends invited me. That's how you build a community, by the way. Invite people to your church. And I walked in, and what started was this guy. His name's Stephen LeHue, a very talented, not alto, what do you call them? Tenor. He got up and he screamed out, "On a clear day, you could see forever." And I thought, show tunes. I could go here. I could go to this church. And then the minister that spoke was funny. We laughed in church. That was new. And so I went away for a little while. And then I came back one day, I heard a voice on a Sunday of 1996, the Sunday after Christmas. And I heard a voice that said, "You need something today, Shawn." And then I heard the voice say, "Unity." So I hurried up and I ran up to Lincoln Center for the service. And there was a new minister there. Eric was still there, but he didn't speak that day. And this minister, he was talking about Leviticus and all those abominations to God and man. And that day I found out I wasn't one of them. I had suspected that might be true, but it was nice to get confirmation from the I found out I was good that day. capital G, good, with no opposite. In God, I was good. And my family was good. And I found out those other people were good. You know, the ones you can't figure out why they have friends? They were good in God. And it wasn't about how I felt. And it didn't matter what I had done. I was good. And so I wanted to study. And I started taking classes and what have you. And then one day, here's a hoot. I went on a trip to England with Unity, the Lincoln Center people. Unity, it was my first time abroad, everything. It was very emotional. My mother had died that year. There was a lot going on. And I remember we prayed on a bus every day as we left our hotel. I don't come from that background. And but we did, these adults were praying together. And I started to think, I could be a minister. I wonder, could I be a minister? And one day we were at the cliffs of Dover, with those big rocks on the beach. And the minister, he comes out and he tripped on a rock. Oh, fine. And then he tripped again and he swore. And I thought, oh, I could be a minister. Good stuff. And so I began to study. And so finally, I became a licensed Unity teacher. And then a church in Norwalk, Connecticut called the church in the city. We're looking for a minister. And I heard the call loud and clear. I heard somebody else on the call. And I said, there's my church. There's my church. I'm willing to run a church. I didn't want to run a church. I just wanted to go and be a guest speaker everywhere. And we could laugh and have a good time and I could leave. But we all still liked each other. And but I heard a voice that said, Shawn, you have to pastor a church. You have to pastor a church. So I was willing. And I heard the call and I went there and I did that. And then they insisted I join the field then called licensing program. Now it's the field ministry program. And I went and I had to do a practicum. You know, something that would stretch me as a minister. And I found it when a woman came asking for our church for a Christmas benevolence for a place called Boys and Girls Village. And Boys and Girls Village up in Connecticut, it's a place that houses children 5 to 14. Many have autism issues, ADHD issues, lots of issues. And many of them will never see their families again. They're hoping to get foster homes. And what I thought I could do, I do a very specialized 12 Powers meditation. I have a CD on it and everything. And I thought I could go there and lead a 12 Powers meditation every week for these children. And so I went and met with them and they said yes. And I was the first volunteer they had ever allowed to come in and just work directly with the children. And it was a thrill. And I went in and how we started each week as I would declare, I am good. And around the circle, I would ask the first child, would you say, I am good? And they looked at me like I had two heads. Because how could I be good and be in this situation? I said, just say it. You don't have to believe it. And we go around the room, I am good. I am good. Remember, it doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter. This is not about feelings. This is about what is. I am good, I am good, I am good. After we did that a few weeks, then I asked, as they said, I'm good, I said, now, would you turn to the person on your right and say, you are good. You are good. And I went around the room. I said, now, this is your family for the time being. Would you be willing to remind anybody who forgets that they are good? Would you be willing to do that for your friends here? And they said, yes. Well, not all of them did, but many did. And one day, I'd been out the week before and I came in and we started. And my supervisor said, oh, I forgot to tell you. Last week, one of the kids, he became very erratic in his behavior. He started throwing things for whatever reason, because sometimes we just can't tolerate our sensations, can we? We just can't. We have to throw a fit. But she said, when he did that, two of the other kids came up to her and said, he forgot he was good. And that's unity. That's what we're here for in the world. To remember for ourselves and to remind each other, you are good. Because you see, if we all knew that for ourselves and each other, no one would hurt anyone else. Joy-filled people don't hurt other people. So that's why we're here today. And that's why we go to school and we jump through hoops. Today's talk is, I referenced it, there's more to this than meets the eye. It's not just about credentials. It's about Credo papers. 9 of them. So I want to take you to 1906 briefly. Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, and the very first ordination talk he did. And he was also being ordained. He and Myrtle were being ordained that day as well. It's the first class to be ordained in Unity. And what Mr. Fillmore, Reverend Fillmore, said, "We are guided by the infinite, omnipresent, all-knowing mind." How about that? Did you know that? You must say that every morning. I'll just bet. Right after you have closed your Bibles from your daily reading. Once he accepted his ordination, Mr. Fillmore said that there were others who had passed their grade and were eligible for ordination, but were not yet ready to give their whole time to ministry. Now, I think it is very clear that Todd here gives his whole time to ministry, and maybe then some. I think the day owes him a couple of hours. Mr. Fillmore went on to say, "We are what might be termed a young child in matters of ordaining ministers, and we desire that we shall send forth only competent workers in our cause. We want to build on a firm foundation. Each minister is expected to do as the apostles were guided by Jesus, to go forth and preach the gospel, to heal the sick, cast out demons, and even raise the dead. We ask you to get busy, people. We ask you to make your mark of high calling supreme. The diploma that you receive is to simply render unto Caesar what is Caesar's and comply with the laws of the land." Now, these are my words. "Yours is to allow the Christ in you to be awakened and to stay awakened. Yours is to remember what is yours to do and what is not yours to do." Did you hear the last part? Yes. Say yes. Yes, thank you. She knows.
Joanna told you to say that.
Yours is to remember that thought is the cause of how you experience all conditions. Yours is to pray and stay prayed up. Yours is to be alive in your community. And sometimes yours is to sit on a rock and talk to God. Yours is the power of discernment to know right from wrong, and when you aren't sure, to go within and ask. Your graduation diploma is given by Unity Worldwide Ministries. Your ordination is considered given by God. So I am blessed to carry out this ritual. And I know that I am just a servant today carrying out his commitment as the hands and mouth, and I do it gratefully. So come on up here. Oh, Todd, I will now present to you each statement and then ask you to say it with me. I don't want to upstage you. Or I don't want you to upstage me. Okay, say this after me. I affirm my unity with God.
I affirm my unity with God.
I affirm my unity with myself.
I affirm my unity with myself.
I affirm my unity with all ministers.
I affirm my unity with all ministers.
I affirm my unity with all people.
I affirm my unity with all.
I affirm my unity with unity.
I affirm my unity with unity.
And I affirm I am.
I affirm I am.
Todd, in the awareness of the activity of spirit which has led you to this memorable sacred moment of commitment, are you willing to accept this role of leadership, to not be set apart, but decreed to proclaim the truth as taught by unity, to be forgiving, to instruct, to comfort, to listen in confidence, to lead faithfully, and to minister more abundantly and love all people more fully and freely, If so, please affirm by saying, I am. I like it. Todd, are you willing to accept this role of leadership and all that it hereby symbolizes? As a faithful and loving minister, to maintain a strong prayer practice, to teach by example, to live in integrity, to call upon Unity Worldwide Ministries for information and support, and to be an active presence in the Unity movement? If so, please say, I am. Todd, are you willing to be in covenant with all ministers and ministries everywhere, respecting, honoring, and supporting of your colleagues? Great. To fulfill the joyous assignment together in a life of dedicated, faithful service, working in harmony with Unity Worldwide Ministries in what you teach, where you teach, and to whom you teach. If so, please say, I am. Okay, this next part, I would like to ask Reverend Catherine and Reverend Russell, if you will come up and take that stole that Reverend Catherine has given to Todd here. It was her ordination stole. And if the two of you would put that upon him, share it. Share the gift. Reverend William Todd Humphrey, by the authority vested in me. Oh, wait. There's still another minute this could go south. Reverend William Todd Humphrey, by the authority vested in me by Unity Worldwide Ministries and through the presence of the indwelling Christ Spirit, it is my honor and privilege to extend the right hand of Spirit and ordain you a Unity minister. Congratulations. Here's your minister. That's it. You want to say anything? Oh.
And all the excitement, I forgot this was next. Absolutely not. I am.
Reverend Todd will do us the honor of singing.
My body, my soul are part of a perfect whole. My heart and my hands are part of a perfect plan. I know that it's true. I know that I am because of you. I know that it's true. I know that I am because of you.
That I am.
All that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. My heart and my mind belong to eternal time. My thoughts and my song, you're writing them all along. I know that it's true. All that I am is because of you. I know that it's true that I can rely on you. that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, all that I am, I give to all of you. Yay. Is that next? Oh, peace one.
Let us remain standing if we can, please. We are going to sing the peace song together as we close this sacred time together. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with each and every one of us. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as Creator, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Perfect harmony. Peace must begin with me. Peace must begin with me. And this is the moment now. With every step I take, let this be our joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. There will be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Amen.
Friends, let's say together our prayer for protection. It's going to be up on the screen. This is not just something to say. This is an affirmation of the truth. The I am is not the I am of our ego. It is the I am that called us each into being. And let's say this together now. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. That's the truth. Reverend Shawn, we're going to have a benediction. We would like to invite our ushers to bring our offering up, and you can have a seat if you would like, or you can remain standing.
Have a seat. Todd, are you complete? Are you complete?
I'm complete.
Go hang in the back then, so you can receive your good. So we bless our offering. We give thanks for all giving and all receiving, knowing that all giving is giving to ourselves. And so we've gone in and we've been guided by the divine voice today as to how much we are giving today. And we are also guided to how much we are willing to receive today. And we give thanks for all of it, that it may only expand. And so it is. Amen. Now, I want to say one other thing. You guys can. One other thing. When we witness something like this, it affects us and it strengthens us. When I was initiated into Reiki, at the end of each session, she said, "You've been given a power and you've been given it to use for good." Well, today, each of us here are witnesses, as Todd has accepted his power and he accepted to use for good. Will each of you make the commitment now for what you have experienced today to know, I have received a power and I'm going to use it for good? If so, say, I am. Congratulations, everybody. You've been given a flower today, a tulip, Todd's favorite. Todd's going to be in the back. We want you to give your tulip to him as your blessing to him for this day. And then briefly say how much you love him and move on, so everybody can move down. They can transform this room into a festivity room next, and then you'll get to visit with him all that you want. Thank you, everybody. Blessings to all. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Good. Turn it off. There.
So yeah, now it's incredible, right? The location and how it was friendly, a lot sort of, there was a lot of, but it worked, like you said. Best friend, yeah, Papa Dado's retired somewhere. Yeah, I was like, not a lot of people knew yeah, I never like, yeah. She was like on Main Street. She was there with me. My church is on my church is right. I go to traffic convention all the time because it supports you.
from your wife, but I haven't been paid for it.
I never did.
I didn't greatly, but then it got happily tied there. So, yeah. She's graduated herself, huh? Yeah.
So thinking positive, right?
That is the turning point, man. Yeah.
It's so funny. The graduation ceremony and all that. She's talking about continuing fall. So I'm not gonna stop her. I'm just gonna leave her alone. Oh, you still love me retirement?
Is that right? You don't have a lot of the sky or yourself?
Doing some stuff. Oh, really? That's good. And that's not too far to travel. It's still North Carolina. Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Oh, it was the retreat you guys did in North Carolina.
Yeah,
right?
we're doing that.
On and off.
Been called back several times. So, fine, go on. And call her in Monday and come back.
I think he likes it.
He does.
Being called back.
And they report but supply chain has slowed all the projects down so much and he has to go away.
So I read an article that supply chains are coming, but they have overstock now. And the problem is interest rates are high. So everybody's trying to figure this out like, oh God. I'm sure he's doing the same thing. And they don't know what to do and how to. Yeah, there's probably a bit of budget because like I can't. Right, exactly. We create a very complicated world. No, we have the same issue. Priorities. We're still in the same boat because we're relying on material from somewhere else to make it. Yeah. I've already. Yeah, we haven't done. I've been very humble, very appreciative. So it's so funny. So I've been interviewed. I thought he was just never, part of the process. I found out he's my boss. I was like, oh my God, good thing I did all right. I mean, I did. I skipped everything. And I guess I did all right because it's like, at the end of the day, don't worry, I got you. We'll leave you in Newport. I mean, work for them. It's like, oh, cool, thank you. And then I went to
where will you move? Are you going to move?
No. So I went to Philadelphia last week. And they're like, yeah, you talk to the director. He's in charge.
Wow, that's fantastic.
It's good news.
Great. Do you think you would do essentially the same thing?
Yeah, they're kind of throwing me. I'm going to be a program manager. So, but that's the title. I don't know exactly. They're doing something new. I think they will pull me in, tell me their vision, and I'll be able to hire the people to accomplish those new things. But still, it's a long time. September I start, like 90 days apprentice program, and then December 27th, March of next year. That's why I'm saying I've already have everything lined up. That'll recharge until March next year.
Hilarious.
That's crazy. Yeah, they will let me go September for 90 days. They have a business call. I'm still on the government payroll, going to pay me, but I'm learning industry. And then December 27th, I'll be officially going to start paying me. And then 1 March, I will officially have paperwork that says you're 100% civilian. We can't recall you, all that. Something. Hey! Did it work? Did you?
No. What they told me in 6 months.
Because you didn't retire, or
They said it's one. They said I don't either. They said it's 1 year to retire, and they said it's 6 months. And then I talked to Todd. Abby said, when you're getting out, you have to say, "Hey, I'm not going to use it right now." And you put it in front of Todd. So I'm going to read it and see if there's a waiver. I wanted to sit there.
So there's a website. Remember, I told you it's not a website. I would log in. There must be directives.
Yeah. It's always a reason.
There's a waiver deviation or something. This is what lawyers told me this.
Right.
Did you do a transition?
I did.
I would just look at this. This was not showed.
Right.
Yeah. They may not agree.
Yeah.
All I'm going to say is no. So I'm not just bummed. Did you actually go to your place?
No, I call the church. I call church.
Did you call the office?
Yeah.
I would.
Stop giving that phone number.
I would go.
And then he asked me. He said, "Let me ask."
So I would go. You're down there, so it's easy for you to get there.
Yeah.
Separation papers or something. I would just supervisor. I think I missed some details I need to. They give you a funding code.
Right.
That money is still there.
So
it just
separation.
Huh? Yeah. I will bring that. Say, hey, I'm separated. I was separated by Illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we didn't have the full support, when you choose educate me, you're just trying to move back my home already.
Right.
That's all. And I'm done looking at providing instructions how to replace right. It's just yeah. So I wouldn't that has been very yeah. Trying to show this. I know maybe do a little bit different than separation. Right. But they know your move. Yeah, they did. You never executed your move. Someone opens your move. Right. Right. Yeah, yeah.
I know, well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I love it. I love it. And I took it in. Like, I mean, now, it wasn't just for Todd.
And I've done the benediction for the French Christians. We do that same thing about the power, you remember. That's
There was a funny thing that happened right after the service was canceled. But they started out piano players playing songs on the set. So the first one we started with, somebody requested morning interrupted. The next one is like in the garden. Well, traditional stuff. Steph was out of town. I had gone by myself and debated all morning with her. And in the end, I went and it looked pretty good. And the place is a beautiful garden. So I felt like a garden. The third one was Here I Am. And by now, I can't talk. And the final one was a song of creation that I hadn't heard before that was actually just beautiful. And so there was unity. And I felt like something like I was thinking retirement, you know, I'm done. And I walked out there saying, you know, it's still there, that same thing in the heart. So, long story.
I'm losing a foot and a half a year. What? The next round of admissions and progress interviews is
I got out by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah, Russell told me you're interested in Georgia.
Well, I had never occurred to me until I got
And Bible is important. That's the point, you know, it's a minister that has a tremendous import for the future of community.
And you know what, when I look on the website, of course, I would love to see. You said something about meeting the new candidates coming up and stuff and how inspiring that is. That would be great.
They're really great ones, and even in their admissions interview process, there's great material to see. come to Washington. Just come hang out.
We listen in more than we should.
Rely on the truth. But how do we keep affirming? You want to go can't stop it going for a while. Eventually it's got to make it through the airwaves. Because the other stuff makes it through the airwaves. You put it all other stuff. You put it as much on the few brain cells that have killed us. Think about it. And one of the things that this therapist was saying, brain research, because we're 2.5 times more likely to remember the emotional impact of a negative than a positive. And that's our, that was designed for survival. And knowing what the negative was will keep you alive. We're not in that state of brain disease, so we have to be conscious. What are we thinking? What are we thinking? And so the way you start making the positive impact more powerful, very consciously say to the moment, slow down.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that right behind us. We get into it.
They'd all be Mariana. Savor this moment. She's great. And that, you gotta keep doing it.
There's probably better. There's even better people. Right?
She loves the negative. And what do we teach communities? That's just what we teach.
I've been doing a online thing class.
She also
Spirits of warriors spirit. The whole 14 weeks is about how to use
oh yeah, I know. Of course.
Of course, we have. Of course, they make them. It's nice to talk to some people working on the same thing.
Yeah. It's just strange. With the tsunami of infobesity, we get all this information 24/7, whatever conceivable channel. People who haven't had until now. And it's almost like giving the 16-year-old keys to a Maserati.
Yeah, like a meditation.
Something happened yesterday. Was I saw Mary Margaret do some reads for us. And I told her that 1 year ago she changed her life. And she was at a meeting and she said, I was praying I just went to Unitarian for 1 year. And I didn't like it so much. I always thought it was something missing. And then listening, driving, I got this tape from a friend about the program. And I started listening to it. And every time I was driving, I would listen to the stuff. And I really liked it. So I went to the first time to the Unity Church. And we had this meeting with Mary Margaret says, Guilford County is not my source. To me, that totally changed because I felt that there was something that I wasn't aware of inside of me. So your message was seeing along exactly first doing the principle.
And it brought Madonna into it, which is an part which we together too often enough in a unity service. Somebody had to do it today.
I leaned over the amp and so nice touch.
Yeah, that kind of changed how I was thinking. She said, there's something more that I wasn't aware of.
Two of us. Chocolate pie, wonderful company, a nap. It's a good day.
I don't need the nap. Somehow my
I heard.
his lot in life.
Is there anything else?
I've really come to understand about myself. About it for many years.
That's a great idea. It draws me in.
I love last week we were at a market and there was the reader. And we walked past the reader and smiled and she nodded at me one and a little while later we come walking back by and she looked at me and said, "You have incredible energy."
Well, thank you very much. How wonderful. Todd, he's in the middle of the family. He went hip high.
Get a picture with all of us at Todd. So, Kevin, what business did you have in Fairfax back?
Oh, yes, we do.
Back,
It's a liquid cocoa that is, I started out working on
You know, Steve endowed a chair in honor of Druzy, in honor of his wife, Druzy, correct?
Oh, he did?
Yes, it's now, so yeah, she has, there's an endowed professorship in her name.
Well, I started out they referred me to people to do consulting, especially small businesses. So I started out doing real small, and then we all got involved in farm madness at local community of Fairfax. So there was Steve Humphrey and Rick Hartley and EJ and I, and they all sort of became part of the business. Consultants, sometimes to the customer and sometimes to me. You know, I just called the business standard solutions, which the customer did what I told them for us.
Oh, wow.
Because I heard all these people who they couldn't understand why we had such rotten employees. So one woman probably once said, "I think one of you says, I only have 10 employees, but I just been working on your stuff, and I have 47 W-2s."
Oh my goodness.
I said, "Oh, we should talk about that." It was all their fault.
What's like David said, my partner, is that I've had the same job for 51 years. David said, I've had 51 jobs this year because he's a musician.
He sure is a musician. Boy.
Oh, you know who?
Oh, yes, I do.
Oh, okay.
Wow. So you lived in your own life.
I was there for 21 years. I was doing lights at a place called Don't Tell Mama for 21 years. Lights and sound, writing knucklebacks. Cabaret. My last line is that 21 years at Don't Tell Mama ministry was the only thing left I could do.
Boy, what a memory we had of that. I had the church in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah, years ago now.
Rick Bell's in there. I think it's because they're the true and told the way downtown.
No, it wasn't. I did hear that from EJ.
Oh, okay.
We got a photo op going on. Okay. How we doing, everybody?
All right.
That's Susie, everybody. Susie's a pillar of the church. One more just because I can. She's good. I'm leaning in a little bit harder. Awesome. Thank you. So they said, it's just after 9/11, they said a troop was singing all that church. Yeah.
Oh, Brit.
It was. No, but the minister, I'm trying to think.
Oh, Paul Finale, yes.
And they came out, I don't know if they did it or what, but they came to Tulsa singing their upper folk songs coming out of New York. And the impact they had was
I know, they did such beautiful work, and they were on their way places, and then Paul told them they were going to travel.
The minister's looking at me. The music director's better than I am. Oh boy, what am I going to do? I haven't had it yet.
And sometimes you're okay with it.
Sometimes just, you're blessed.
Yeah, that's
of their place.
Good luck with that.
Their new dates.
Oh, geez.
Shawn, I want to thank you for bringing the levity into that outrageously beautiful ceremony. I was just about ready to fall off my chair. And you would take a little crack a little side joke, and oh, thank God.
Well, I thought we were going to have to meditate
Plus, I served in New York. I was staff minister in New York. Britt Hall, who used to be is the minister. I took him through FMP and ordained him a few years ago. All that was on the line. He was part of spiritual. He was the leader of spiritual. Yeah, I'm the only minister. Big house. You don't need a secretary. Have a licensed teacher.
Yeah.
There's no. I've been to my church.
The New York Church.
And I'm the founding president of New York. I'm really blessed. It all fell into place because there was no precedent that said so. I was the first president, then I became the first licensed teacher, became the first ordained interfaith minister, and then became the first unity minister out of that church. It is, and all my education was in the church.
So where were you ordained?
That's from the new seminary.
Okay, so Todd is here.
Right, which was Diane Burke. And I was with Diane Burke last year at the new seminary, just before she started one seminary. Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember. But it worked out very well. I keep thinking, oh, I've done something. And then I don't. I just took on a new mentee named Curio out of Amazon. I don't know why there's so many open. Move to that now. They can't afford to live.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Now that your bellies are full, it's time for open mic. So anybody that would like to come up and share a thought about Todd, come on up. It's time to roast him, guys. Let's go. The mic is yours. Whoever would like to come up.
I'm going to pass on that, thanks.
You can. I'm going to stop. So everyone here at Crystal Coast Unity knows Lissa, right? When I went up recently to visit with Russell and Anthony in Fairfax. Hello.
And the focus is on Todd.
I felt like I was in the kindergarten class. Yeah. We always go. Very good. Now that I have your attention. No. So when I went up to visit with Russell and Anthony, Russell asked about a number of people to see if they were still a part of Crystal Coast Unity. And, of course, Alyssa was one of those, and we miss her today. Another person, some of you have seen around a lot, but don't really know that this person also helped hold the consciousness and is part of the reason we're here today. And I want Nancy to stand up. Nancy Veach. You've seen Nancy working in our nursery, but Nancy has been here longer than a lot of us. And Nancy, we appreciate the fact that you are still a part of this community. So thank you, my friend, and thanks for being here today. I did not say it during the service. All of our services are only made possible because I have a number of very dedicated people. Most specifically, Kath and Susie. So Susie, lift your hand. Kath, back there. Kath's back there by the peace pole. It's all the love. I am so grateful to both of you week after week after week for all that you do, especially when I walk in and I'm like, I don't have an order of service printed today because the printer's jammed. So thank you for everything that you hold. And it is so difficult for me to believe sometimes that this is, that I am now I've celebrated my 3rd anniversary of being here at the Crystal Coast. If you are currently or have been on the board since I arrived here, will you please stand up? Peggy's already standing. And we've got a few that are also home not feeling well today. I have been so blessed to have incredible board support in my time here, and I can't thank you all enough for all that you do. So that's what I'm going to say. Are you doing the... Okay, well, I think I'm done. I thought you wanted to do the hustle.
We'll have to explain that.
And then, Deidrey, we will come to you.
Hello. Wow, look at this group. Wow. I haven't been in front of this mic for years. This is fun. Following on Todd's The Board, I want to bring to this group the reminder that unity is always in divine order. And we just lived that out in its fullness with Todd. And this is how that lived out. We're on the board, several of us here with Catherine. And Catherine said something to the effect of, at some point, I'm going to retire. We all went, yeah, all right, yeah, sure. She said, no, and this is what I would like to do. And she says, get somebody in to be here with me and blah, blah, blah. And she already knew Todd. We didn't know Todd. So we said, well, that's really a novel idea. Instead of just leaving and then we all have to hustle and find out who we got next. So Todd came in and everybody visited with him. And the date was set and then it wasn't. I don't remember all the details. But we knew he'd come sooner or later. And we said yes to it all, but we really financially left it to God. It was a God thing. So we live in God, we trust God, we do that, divine order, and we just lived in all that. Didn't get kerfuffled about much of it, just it was going to happen when it happened. And then he was supposed to come, and then he wasn't, then he was in June. This isn't true. I mean, I don't know dates and stuff. But it didn't happen. He came in February because whatever happened in New York, he had to get out of New York, right? We didn't ask why, but it wasn't even COVID then, Catherine. It wasn't then. That's right. So he was coming early, and we went, okay, we'll suck it up. We'll find the money. We'll be able to pay him and Catherine, and just went about our way. Divine order was prevailing. And 4 months later, 5 months later, everything shut down. And if Todd wasn't here, Catherine and all of us would have had a hard time getting all this going. Todd walked in with every single tool that he needed to keep this place going. And it's been continuous. It's divine order in here. We celebrate. I don't want us to ever forget divine order always rules. And anytime you doubt that, look at Todd. That's it.
Todd, I love you, okay? I really do. There's stuff I should not say, but I really love you. Catherine? So Catherine, she knew, those who don't know, I'm still active duty Marine Corps. And pretty much Catherine gave me her intent, her vision, and said, as a board member, execute. So it took a lot of Tuesday tacos at Soundside and cocktails. You forgot those parts. We had a lot of conversations about how we go raise the money, how we go to donate, how we go fix all this stuff. And I truly appreciate it because you gave us a goal. And I'm so happy after all these years it come to fruition. Congratulations, Todd. I really love you. You've done so much for the church. You brought us into a different era, technology-wise. I think a lot of people, you remember the Zoom parties we used to have during COVID. I had a feeling Todd had something to do with that, that got us all into it. And then from here, the church and Facebook and all that stuff. So thank you very much. And again, love you.
This is terrifying for me.
I would be terrified. Okay, big guy, it's me and you.
I'll have to say that.
Come on to my house, Come on, take the lid off of this.
Oh, wow.
Oh, how beautiful.
A word of explanation. So I was really tempted to take the Crystal Coast Unity logo and put it in here. But I thought, let's let this just be a teaching tool. So we have these very batik, very mod, very bold colors of our powers here. And so if you find an occasion like a wedding or something like that where you want to teach the 12 powers, you're going to put this on and you're going to imbue the 12 powers to whomever, and you're going to gird yourself with this.
Beautiful.
Now, you notice that this has a texture. Okay, this is the grains of the sand out here, which we're built on. And if you flip this over, these are our colors by the water. So Unity, Crystal Coast Unity will always be with you. Wow. Blessings.
Stand up, you can work it. Yeah, absolutely. So I have no idea what my sister's going to say. But if y'all really want her to talk, we're going to turn this into a fundraiser.
All right. Hello, everybody. Okay. Well, first off, I am a horrible public speaker, so we are definitely not alike in that. My heart is racing. I don't have a clue what I want to say, but I feel like I should say something. I'm going to try to get through without crying. Like I used to ask my brother all the time, kind of tell me about what you do, because this is very different than what I practice, what I believe in a certain way. And he used to constantly tell me, and I tried to have a better understanding, and I love it. Like every time I've come, you guys are amazing. And after a few visits here, and after seeing today, and I get it. Like I get it. I get it. And you guys always come up to me and tell me how much you love him, how amazing he is, this and that. And y'all probably are just like, she shows no emotions. It's just, I think it's because there's not a word about it that doesn't surprise me. You know, we're 13 years apart, and he has been nothing but amazing. I mean, we're brother, sister, we fight, we disagree, but the brother he's been, the uncle he has been, how much my little boy loves him. He's just, the way he touches people's lives, the way he changes people's lives, impacts it. I wish I had a quarter of his character, of his peace, his just calmness, because I have attitude and a smart mouth. So we are not the same there. But just the way he embraces people, the way he just welcomes them, and the way he makes everyone around him better. And he just brings this peace and joy to everybody's lives. And I mean, I kind of always knew it, but seeing you guys, seeing this community for my brother, you know, it's truly lifting, something uplifting, truly something special. And he's 5.5 hours away, and God, I miss him. But I know he's doing what he loves. I know he's home, and I know this is exactly where he belongs. And I know he's going to do amazing things for your community. I know he's going to touch each and every person's life that he comes in contact with, the way he has mine and my son's. So you guys enjoy him, and y'all take care of him, okay? I'm so proud of you.
We're going to receive our offering now.
And Stacy made the cakes in the back too. The greenest cake ever.
Well, we've got our talented Susie back there that's taking pictures. We wanted to present you with a little plaque to remember this day. And we love you, and we appreciate all that you've done. And we're all just so proud of you for what you've done and for leading us.
Thank you. So great.
That was
Wow. This was last night. So someone was busy.
That's wonderful.
And that is Susan Toms. She is our vice president of our board.
So, hello everyone. I'm Russell. I think you know that. Some of you have known for going on 30 years, like Lori and Nancy and Lissa and Herb and Charlie and Beth and Catherine and Sepp and these guys over here and Anthony. I want to speak for a moment about this community. So, yay, Todd. Thanks. You've earned it all fair and square. But what I really want to do is simply acknowledge Crystal Coast Unity for being here. As we shared earlier, or at some point, the whole weekend's kind of running together in the best way possible. So savor the moment. And that's really what I want to say, everybody. Savor the moment. When there was a group, I think Nancy was a part of that, Lissa was a part of that came to Unity in Wilmington in the early 90s, thereabouts, and said, hey, we want to have a Unity church. Because at one point, some of you may or may not know this, Unity minister Reverend Victor Williams led a church in Greenville and would come down and do a service somewhere at somebody's home on Sunday evenings. He became ill, had to just drop that work. And the energy, though, remained. Let's have a Unity church. Lissa really held that consciousness and would hold meetings in different places. So eventually, got some of our friends together, and they went to Wilmington, where I had the Unity credit class, Hebrew Scriptures interpretation, and I was board president. And they said, "Hey, Renee, we want to have a Unity church in Morehead City, or up here on the Crystal Coast." And his answer was, "Do the quest." It was a year-long program of lessons. Do that for a year and come back. Well, they did that for a year and came back. And Renee said to me, "Russell, why don't you do that? Seems like something you'd like to do. You want to get up and drive 90 miles every Sunday one way, lead a church service, maybe do a class, figure out how to make this work, and then drive home." So I did that for about 2 years, and it was about, I think, 93 to 95. I'm at that age, and then we had COVID. It's like, I don't know when it was. It was a long time ago. It was 30 years ago. Yeah, last year. With COVID, we figured out that, yes, you can have 3 Tuesdays in the same week. It's like, of course you can. Why not? Yeah, so it's been known to happen. So anyway, the study group really did the work, and called Reverend Beth and Charlie, and then Herb and Lissa and Sepp and Catherine and this guy. And so what I want to say is a very heartfelt congratulations for a couple things. Number one, for making it this far. I mean, I know much of the history, and then you throw in a pandemic, and then you throw in a few ministers, and for many of our communities did not make it. I just got to say, many of our ministries are not binational on a daily basis. That's a huge win for the community. You should. I just should on everybody. I invite you all to experience a great deal of pride in your willingness to really collectively follow Spirit's lead through the rough times, through the easy times. That's a huge accomplishment. The second huge accomplishment we are acknowledging today is the ordination of Reverend Todd. Todd went through the field ministry program, and that is a program, yes, it is for the candidate. It is also for the community. You've almost like gotten together and made a baby. And Shawn's the father. So, well, and there are many Unity churches and centers that would not have the wherewithal or even the capability to know how to birth such a competent and amazing minister. And it has taken every one of you in this village to raise Todd as a minister. So I want to acknowledge this community for 2 reasons. Simply for being here and thriving with a capital T. And secondly, for giving the Unity movement a minister who is now capable of and qualified to serve at every level of ministry team service, like Shawn and I do, and Catherine is about to be of service to the entire movement and ultimately to the world. I just gave her a job, so she's found out today. So I just want to invite you all to give yourselves a round of applause. Well done.
There's a little follow-on to that story too. When I got here, I guess I've been here a couple of months, and we were meeting in a little tiny building over on Industrial Drive. Some of you remember it, little pink building, right? And it was in dire need of repair. And not only did the landlord not want to do the repairs, he wanted to raise the rent. So I think there were about maybe 18 or 20 of us at the time. So we all got together and we said, do we really want to do that? And we said, not only no, but no. So we went out looking, but I'm stupid, right? I just get to the beach. So I don't know that it's going to cost $3,000 or $4,000 to find enough space to have a church to rent. So I'm like, oh my God, help them make this decision. We got no place to go. And we met in the train station and we met in the library. Where else did we meet? Oh, we met in the real estate office, Kathy's boss's place, and the group, and Blair Farms, and the fire station, and the group stayed together. They kept showing up. So it so happened that one of the congregants at the time had a child who was graduating from some school. I don't know, it was high school or high school, I think. And she threw a party at her house, and I went to the party. Now, 2 weeks before, we had met an older lady who came to the church, and she was very sad. She had just lost her husband. And this lady sits down beside me at the party, and she said, I think I would like to build you a church. And I said, how early do you get up in the morning? So I went over there for coffee, and she said, you know what, I can't build you the whole church because my husband's kids would kill me if I spent all the money. So how about this? And she hands me a check for $100,000. Now, this prosperity story has been going on in this congregation from the day one. All right, so totally amazed. And suddenly we become potential owners, not renters of $4,000 spaces. All right. So I get on the phone because there weren't that many of us. And I called each and every one of the people that came and said, we've been given this gift. What would you like to add to it? And at the end of about 2 days, I had $170,000. All right. That's what happens here. At which point I got an invitation to a small group meeting with Mary Morrissey. Does anybody know who she is? She's a great prosperity teacher. I went out to California, sat with 30 people in a visioning group that was absolutely life-changing. And I said, I want to build this church that we have here on the East Coast of North Carolina. The week after we got back, Sepp and I are driving down the highway. We see a sign on this building that says, call Joe. That's all it says. She said, well, okay. So we called Joe. Joe's here in 5 minutes. Now, when we went to the bank, even with our $170,000 and told them that we wanted to buy a building, they laughed us right out of the door. And so Joe comes along and says, well, just let me go to work on it. Joe not only reduced the price, he said, well, how much can you afford? And I told him, and that's what the price became. And then he financed it. So all I'm saying is count nothing out. Hold the vision, be clear about it, stay together, and whatever you're dreaming of is going to happen. Because well, there are many little stories like that in my life, but that's one of the biggest ones. And we have never had, I don't think we've ever had a difficult discussion about money on our board in the 10 years I was here. So you have created that. So congratulations once again.
Good afternoon. I'd like to share one quick story about Lissa. She apologizes for not being here today. She woke up this morning not feeling very good. She's been doing some energy work, and she just felt a need to detox a little bit. All you energy workers know what she was going through. So she sends her apologies, and I want to tell you that the way I met Lissa was basically she sent me an email and it said DRO, Divine Right Order. And I was a Unity minister in New Jersey, and I saw that in this email. I said, I don't know who she is, but I'm interested. And so we got A led to B. But then when I got here and found out that she had been instrumental in bringing Russell along and bringing Victor Williams along and Nancy and many others. Well, maybe not so many, but several others. And I asked her, why did you do that? It's so difficult. And she just said, I didn't have a choice. I knew I wanted a Unity church here. I just knew it. I said, well, what do you mean you knew it? I can't tell you. I just never doubted it. It was Divine Right Order. And now, Divine Right Order manifested through all 5 of us and all, 150 of you people that have come through these doors and stayed and done the hard work of being a Unity church. my heartfelt gratitude, and I know Lissa says exactly the same thing. If she, as you know, doesn't speak much. I do all that. But she would just be melting in gratitude, knowing that all of you are saying, yes, God. And that's all it takes. That certainty, that clarity, as Catherine had just said. It's a beautiful thing, and you all have earned it, and I bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
Y'all just get started, right? God only knows what is in store for this congregation.
It's open mic.
Open mic night.
It's terrifying, is that?
How long you got, people? I changed my shoes, so I can't be known as the shoe lady anymore because I got my comfy ones on. All right, so hi everybody. I might be allergic. So I wanted to thank Catherine for bringing Todd, and of course I moved here in 2018 from New Zealand, the year of the hurricane. So I wanted to thank Crystal Coast Unity, because when I first came over to visit my husband who'd moved here to work, and I was like, I'm just gonna Google and see if there's a Unity here, and I almost fell out of the car. I'm like, holy Batman, there's a Unity here. And just like, no, you found your people? I'm like, yeah. It's like, oh my God. So, because I was blessed enough to go to Unity in New Zealand, where I'm from, and Unity in Chicago, and there was a Unity in Fresno, which I didn't really go to, but I really went to the one in Chicago, and then went home and kind of didn't go, and then came over here and found Unity here. So I wanted to say thank you that, again, we continue to be here and continue to teach what we teach. But I just really wanted to give you a Maori blessing. As we know, Todd is awesome about bringing in some multiculturalism into the church. So I just really wanted to give you a New Zealand blessing, and you hear me say it. So I'm just going to say, kia ora, haere mai, haere mai, haere mai. I greet you, I greet you, I greet you, and I appreciate you. Kia ora.
Jasper's coming up. Don't anybody race her.
Is it in a folder? Ta-da!
All right. Well, Charlie, help me out here. I think that's what it's supposed to be. And my glasses are back there. So, Charlie, this is up to you to read. Charlie and I are not here. It looks like we are. And we are grateful that we are. But we had no intention of going east. We're West Coast people.
You feel like you're here.
We're from the West Coast. Charlie was born in California. I got there as quick as I could, and we intended to be in the West Coast. And then I started working with a little Unity church in Fremont, California, and then we were accepted into okay. Well, we came to try out, and we didn't intend to stay. We only came for the free trip. But we fell in love with it, obviously. It was beautiful. It was springtime, and the flowers were all blooming, and it was wonderful. And we decided maybe we might give this part of the country a talk, an opportunity. The church itself was meeting. Tell them, Charlie. Where was the church?
The church was on Evans Street in Morehead City at the time.
Across the street from the police station. And right after we had come, about a week, we had a hurricane. And we were certainly sure we were not going to stay.
2.5 hurricanes. Dennis came twice.
We also ended up going up to Black Mountain with the Unity ministers of the Mid-Atlantic states. And they are just the greatest people. Yeah, they really helped. So we went up there and we stayed at the YMCA in the mountains. And that was pretty good. We had a good time. But after a while, they threw us out. We were having way too much fun for a Christian organization. So then we're on the lookout for another place to be. And we ended up at Cayuga, which was, of course, a much better place for us to be. But what would you like to say, dear? Oh.
Let me tell you.
Yeah. We went away to Black Mountain, came back, and we'd had another hurricane. And they blew the door off the front. Did I say that? No. They blew the door off the front. And then it blew all the ceiling tiles down, and the whole church was just a disaster. And in the meantime, an old congregant, our congregant who was had been here for a long time, had the nerve to die. It was really inconvenient, but we couldn't have the memorial service because of the hurricane. So we waited a week. We had no air conditioning. It's hotter than blue blazes in that business. And so we pulled up, and this lovely man from where?
Texas.
From Texas met me at the door, and I said, I'm doing a memorial service. I really need air conditioning. Can you help me? And he said, yes, ma'am. I think I can. And so that was our first real adventure in ministry here in Europe. Mm-hmm.
Well, we tried out at 3 different churches, again for the 3 trips. We didn't expect to go to any of them because they were the wrong direction for us. As Beth said earlier, I am a native Californian, and I lived the first 60 years of my life in California and never expected to live anyplace else. And then, of course, I hadn't met Beth yet. Then I met her, and a couple of weeks after I met her, and I had committed in my mind that I was going to marry this wonderful woman, she announced that she wanted to be a Unity minister. And she was going to a ministerial school, which she got accepted into 3 months after we were married. So I retired and followed her to Unity Village, and had to get a job in the bookstore to support her so that we could stay there. Otherwise, they would have thrown us out. It's where I met Catherine, by the way. Sold her some of her books when she was in school. And incidentally, it's also where I met Russell for the very first time. I was having lunch in the Unity Inn, and I was explaining to some friends where we were going to accept a job, and he overheard me say that we were coming to Morehead City. And he came over and introduced himself, told me who he was, and I began to feel at home already. Anyway, we tried out at 3 different churches, and I have to say the Morehead City Crystal Coast Unity came out on top, because it didn't hurt a bit that from the front porch of the church, I could see the Morehead City waterfront. And that was pretty amazing, because we had just come from Kansas City, where they're very short on waterfront. And Crystal Coast Unity has some other things going for them as well, because they did a very smart thing. That is, they hosted both of us. Whereas the other churches we visited hosted Beth, and I was an afterthought. But Crystal Coast Unity didn't do that. They welcomed the 2 of us, showing me an understanding that they knew that a successful ministry involves not only the minister, but the spouse or the partner of that minister. And I think every spiritual leader present in this room will back me up on that. The partners are very, very important. It is. It is. And they also did another very smart thing. That is, they rented a car to give us the freedom to explore the area on our own, in private, so that they were not with us the whole time we were here. The other churches showed us around, but we only got to explore the areas that we would be serving when somebody had the time to show us. And on top of that, the people in Morehead City they won our hearts. One more quick thing. That's why we are still here these many years after we retired.
We love you, Todd.
Go for it.
And you know what you said to me? You said, we'll be your best and most faithful partner. That's what she said to me. That's what she said to me. All right, that's what transition can look like. That's what it is. You know.
One more quick thing. We had driven all the way across the country to get to Morehead City, and we had driven from California, and we finally got to Morehead City, and then immediately we went to Black Mountain, up in the mountains, and it's a YMCA camp, and we were having such a good time that they threw us out. Did I say that? Yeah.
Black Mountain wasn't easy, because we had just driven the whole length of Tennessee and North Carolina on I-40. Now, 40's got metaphysical significance, but I'll tell you, when we got off I-40 onto 70, I felt a sense of completion. The first thing I heard when we got here, I think I heard it from Lissa, is you have to go to Black Mountain next week. Because that's when the Omas retreat is. And you have to go. Because we want them to know that we have a full-time minister here. And as you figured out, Black Mountain is another 300 miles back.
Well, it started out more organized. Please know how much we love you. You are our heart, you are our family, and we are so delighted to be a part of this ministry.
When he first came, I had doubts. I wasn't sure I was going to like him, but boy, he's going
Thank you.
The Bowers. The Bowers.
Yeah, I just want to express my gratitude for the gifts that I got here to rebuild this building. Yeah, Jack and Jane, Jack knows a lot about carpentry too, and there were a lot of other people like Ernie with all the electrical stuff, and all the things that I learned about it. I knew nothing about sound systems. Okay, so I got to come up with something, with the sound system. I learned that, just use regular towels. I didn't know that it takes, that the sound bounces off like crazy. You put some insulation behind so the sound doesn't bounce off. There's so many things I had no idea about. Those are all things that I learned. So I really enjoyed what I was doing. And then we had that storm, and then Ike helped in a lot of ways here with problem. What are we going to do with the moisture? What do we do about the tiles that came down? There was water underneath, And so I really enjoyed to work with those people, and I'm really grateful to have for the opportunities to learn about the things. I'm always curious about how things work and how can you make it better, and especially before we put the sheetrock on the walls. I was really inspired when people say, I want to put a memory or something that I'm inspired by to write on the wall underneath the sheetrock. That was quite an experience. I really enjoyed that. And so I'm really grateful for that experience. And so it was a really big gift for me to have the opportunity to do all those things and work with older people like Ike and Ernie and Jack, especially Jack. Jack and I, we did a lot of things. Yeah, and Cindy, Kevin, yeah, exactly, yeah, right. And so I remember we had to make some decisions a couple times, like up there and on the ceiling. Cindy said, no, it only can be done this way. And we didn't want to do it that way. So they said, Jack said, just put some glue on it, then you can't take it off anymore. So,
Cindy, I wish she was here because
her inspiration about the colors and about the design.
Right,
and
the lights and the colors and all of that was Cindy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the logo, and then we got the logo.
And we just saw how the expenses were going up and up and up, all the money that it's going to cost. And then Catherine comes along and says, oh, we have to repaint the whole outside of the building.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's another 20 grand. So, but there's no choice. We have to do that. And she was right. It all worked out. The money came in to do whatever we had to do to make it happen. And so I feel a lot of gratitude to have the opportunity to make a contribution. So I'm very grateful.
That's good. Hi, my name is Pat Moore. I am here with my friends Mary Margaret, Nancy, and Ben. We're from Greensboro. And Todd, I am so grateful that you did not tell me before you invited us to come that there was going to be 6 or 7 Unity ministers here and they were all going to speak. Because I would have known we would not yet be eating. And yet I want to say to every one of you ministers here, today was one of the most powerful, complete, most beautiful rendition of unity I have ever heard. Crystal Coast, you were blessed to be here. And we were blessed to hear each and every one of you, because that is what unity is about. And this is the foundation you're built on. I mean, what was 90 miles? I think 200 and some's not bad on a Sunday morning from Greensboro, Todd. I don't understand the problem, but I want to tell you people something. You thought 3 years ago you saw a good minister. We saw him before he was that. We saw him when he has just a glint in his eye that's what he wanted to be. We saw him at Unity in Greensboro because you took Catherine away from us. I'll talk to you about that later. There better be a lot of leftover food in my car when I'm leaving. That's all I got to say. That might get some forgiveness. However, after Catherine left, Todd and I had one of the unique, enjoying experiences of sitting in basically the ministry role. And we saw what this man could do. We saw his creativity. We saw his talent. We saw how he could deliver, how he could sing, how he loved. And Todd, it is one of the greatest privileges of my life to see you ordained today. It was the greatest privilege because to see something be planted and to water it and know you helped water that seed and to tend to that plant. And now you get to pick the fruit. All I'm saying is that I have explained to several of you I'm leaving and shortly, and I'm taking him with me. I don't know how I'm going to explain it any better to you than that. But Crystal Coast, you have a gift. You have a gift. And we are so happy that we knew that long before you did. And we loved it just as much as you're loving him now. Take care of him, or I'll be back.
And by the way, is she a minister or what?
Rev Todd. Oh my goodness. What can I say? First of all, your heart is it's just an endless pit of awesomeness. I don't know how you have so much room for all the love that you share and the space that you make for everyone. I have no idea how you balance all of that. I don't know how you do it, but you do it with such grace and such humility. And yeah, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for this place, this church, this community. I'm from Toronto. Like, what am I doing here? What am I doing there?
It's warmer here.
You know, when you talk about divine order and just the way that all of this came together in 2020, I left a pretty good job. I was a music director for a church, and but I knew I wanted something different because I had lost the connection. And I told somebody here, I'd lost the connection I felt to spirit in a way that when I wrote songs or when I select a song, I know this is what I'm supposed to sing. I don't question it. I don't question it. And I was questioning everything. And I knew I didn't belong there anymore. And somehow COVID came and it was awesome. Okay, so maybe not COVID part was not awesome, but the experience of that created an opportunity and led me here. And I feel that connection again. And so for that, I am so grateful. So grateful. Congratulations. Thank you. I'm Christy, and I'm home. I discovered Unity in Raleigh. I was going through a extremely bad time, and somebody gave me a phone number and said, call this number. And I called every night. It changed at midnight. And I called every morning, and it reminded me so much of my grandparents that were my angels in my life growing up, that gave me a totally different view than I was taught by my father of who God was and what God wanted for me. And I was taught that I had to do a zillion things and stay in my head and everything else, that I wanted God's love. And anyway, when I heard those phone calls, when I made those phone calls, I heard what I used to hear from my grandparents. And I finally decided I was going to just check out this church. And I went down, and it was a purple church. On the outside, it was bright purple. It was on Glenwood Avenue in Raleigh. And I had a friend go with me, and I cried during the whole service. I just lost it. I knew I was up. And I moved here Jack Graff, I don't know if any of you know Jack Graff, but Jack Graff was the minister. And then Barry Bernard was the minister of the other. There was two churches, and I actually was the wedding coordinator for Barry Bernard, even though I belonged to the church with Jack Graff. And then, I don't know if any of you know Richard Mirage, but he was an amazing person who came and worked with us. And then I moved here after my husband died 24 years ago. And I thought, there's no way there's going to be a unity there. And there was. And I just want to say, there's people that stand out, that Lori welcomed me so much. Cindy Bunch made me feel so much at home. Karen and Kevin and Keith. Keith would actually put his hand on my leg sometimes when he knew I was about ready to get up and leave because of something that I didn't like or whatever. And he'd be like, just calm down, Beth and Charlie were here. Beth even agreed to do a wedding in my backyard for some friends, which was just wonderful. They still talk about it. And they were both just so loving and so welcome. And then Herb was here. And Herb actually allowed me to help him at times, say the opening prayer and things like that. And there were a few times I got a little carried away. And one day, it was actually Peace Day. Well, I'm not even going to talk about the time I showed up in my bathrobe and curls.
That was beautiful. That was better than any sermon had for Herb ever.
I had written this very long poem about bubbles, and at the end, it was near Christmas time. As long as, it ended with, if everybody blew bubbles, we'd have peace on earth. And I gave everybody bubbles afterward. But the time I'm talking about was actually Peace Day. And I don't know if Herb even remembers this, but I got up and I was talking about preparing my prayer and realized I knew what you're supposed to say about peace when it's unity, but I didn't see it in the world, and I didn't believe it. And it hadn't started with me or anybody else I saw. And I couldn't get up there and just say what I thought I was supposed to say. And so I basically said that. And I started it out, and I kind of did it like Paul Winchell thing, where later I'll do the rest of the story. And I later told how I meditated and came up with some much better things.
But right after I just said the part about not being able to really talk about peace, we had our time where we met people and we shook hands or we hugged or whatever. And an old man came up. I never saw him before and I never saw him again. And he walked up to me and he said, I'm 96 years old, and that is the first totally honest thing I've ever heard in church. And he gave me a big hug. And anyway, after we, and I went on with my thing later when it was my turn again. And afterward, I thought, that's it. I'm never going to be back up in the front again. And all Herb said to me after I left was, you're a hoot. I don't know what that means exactly, and I don't want to stay up here, but then Catherine came and we had lunch together at the very beginning, and I'm a lot older than Catherine, but it was like meeting my grandmother again. And then not only that, but she just kept that feeling for me. She sat in the library one day and literally read from the Winnie the Pooh book. And I felt like a 4-year-old child listening to my grandmother read. And I could go on and on. Now we've got Todd. The first time I met Todd I was having a really hard time, and I asked to speak to Catherine, and Todd was there, and she introduced me. And believe it or not, the whole time he never said one word. Do you remember that? Yes. And you never, and I thought, well, that's kind of odd. A minister that doesn't say anything. And then I got to know Todd, and he is just as wonderful a person as everybody else I've met. The only thing that shocked me, I had donated a bunch of books and stuff, and then there were a lot left over. And so he actually drove all the way to Swansboro to take him, and I met at the Hen. And I was waiting for him, and all of a sudden this car comes around the corner, and so I'm like, well, that can't be Todd. Now, he wouldn't be in a car like that. It's this bright orange thing, and I'm like, whoa, and sure enough, it was Todd. Anyway, I just want to say, and I didn't mention a lot of names, people that really welcomed me, but we need this. We need to feel home, and thank you to all of you. Thank you for your music. It is such a blessing, and I just love every one of you, so thank you.
It's hard to get up here. The labyrinth. Hello. It is so fascinating to me to hear the stories about the history of unity in this community, because I grew up here. I was born at Carter General Hospital in Morehead City and spent my childhood here. And so it's really fascinating to hear about all this underground unity stuff that was going on. And I had no idea, because the rule in my house was you just had to go to church, and I could, pick, but I didn't know what the options were. But anyways, I found my way here. I'd been living in Oregon at the time, got into a New Thought church there, came back to North Carolina, Googled New Thought Church, and this popped up, and I'm like, no way. In Atlantic Beach, Catherine was here again, that feeling of coming home. I definitely felt that here. Came my very first Sunday back in North Carolina and haven't looked back since. It's just, I've really made a home here. And Todd, I'd like to thank you for your friendship. Todd, I never thought I could have a relationship like this with a minister, where I can say whatever I want, however I want. And, I thought my spiritual quest started like 4 years ago, when I really got, looking at the world, looking at life in a different way. But then Todd explained to me that kids taking drugs and going to raves are also seeking a spiritual experience. I was like, well, actually, my spiritual quest started a while back, I guess. But just the other day, I came in here into the sanctuary and just started crying in Todd's arms, and he offered, I'll come sit on the beach with you and just watch the waves if that's what you need. But that's just the kind of person that he is. And I'm very, very grateful. And Catherine, like, you were like my surrogate mother when I first got here, something about being in her bosom. And it's like, oh, it's so nice. So thank you all. And I'd like to thank all the speakers today for the humor that you offered us. I really was surprised and delighted. So thank you, and congratulations, Todd. I love you.
It's after 2:00. My dog. No. We're gonna hang out, but some people are leaving, and stay as long as you like. I'm not having a seizure. I'm listening, so hold on. I need everyone who is the spouse of a minister to stand up. Spouses of the ministers, stand up. Where's Anthony? Okay. Well, we're all here present now together in spirit. Everything's right now. And so I want to hold the spouses of ministers in divine light and divine love. It does take a special calling to be in relationship with anybody, but to be in relationship with someone who has a lot of projections thrown at them on what they're expected to be can be challenging for those that they live with and support them every day. And I want to lift up those people, because together we're going to envision that I find that right and perfect partner, and they're going to come to me right now. And that it is amazing and perfect. And I know that, as Charlie so eloquently put, that this community will support whoever shows up in my life. So with that, hold that vision, and you're going to hold that with me. It's not mine. The other thing is that there are people that are not sitting in these chairs today that I miss terribly. And so if you will hold in that power of imagination that they are joyful, and that they were happy, and that they are fulfilled wherever they are. And know that some of them are on their path to find their way back here. We all at different times may have wandered away a little bit, and we find our way back to the truth. Because this here, the material world changes, right? But truth is truth. Truth is truth. It stays the same. And so we lift up the truth. I am the light. Say that with me. I am the light. I am light. That's the truth. I could not do this every week without Deidrey Francois' support. And Deidrey, thank you. Yeah, I wasn't gonna forget them. No, but a lot of them are out there in the lobby right now. I think they're out there they're out there fixing to-go boxes. Okay, I'm going to be standing in the parking lot, and if you try to take home a piece of chocolate meringue pie, there's a fight fixing to happen. They do. Anyway, we'll be around for a while. But we had an incredible team that put all of this stuff together, and I do want to thank Kay, who is not with us today. She was with us online. Carol Bennett, Karen Kelly. Paul helped make sure that all this switched from a sanctuary to a dining hall. And Pat was like, "How did y'all do that so fast?" You're amazing. I was like, you give that Marine an order and he executes it, right? What a beautiful community to be a part of. I love you all.